Adria Garcia, where is she? All right, put your hands together. Another big smile. That's okay. Welcome.
Thank you, thank you. Happy to be here.
I'm so glad to have you. Let's see here. Here's my notes. Army vet, Purple Heart recipient, lives in Fort Hood, looking for a job.
Yes.
Me too, by the way. Second time here?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. And why does it matter to you? I love that question. Tell the folks a little bit about you and why this matters to you.
Well, it matters to me a lot because I am a female veteran. And when I first was approached, I found F7 and the first retreat on Facebook. And it matters to me because I felt that, wow, I'm going to be with women, like-minded women, just like me. I can't wait. Because when you leave the military, like she says, you don't do women. And when you meet other women and they don't have that similarity or that experience that you've had with the military, they just don't get you. And it's not the same thing. So I was very excited. And when I got here and I met all of these other military females, female veterans, plus military spouses, one, I gained a greater appreciation for what these military spouses do while their husbands are overseas. And I know that my roommates, which were military spouses as well, they gained a greater appreciation for what I do or what I did in the military. And that was huge for me because it just opened my mind up for that. My daughter right now is a military spouse. So it just opened my mind up with that, and I said, wow, you know what, they do a lot. I don't think about that, one, because I'm not a military spouse. I never have been. I've been a soldier. So it did matter to me, and I was sponsored to my first retreat because, again, I've been unemployed for a whole year and 2 months now. So I said, you know what, it had such a huge impact in my life that I definitely had to pay this forward. So I did some thinking, and I got some inspired thought, and I did a fundraiser, did some raffle tickets, and Motorphilia and myself, my other organization, I have an organization called Latina Vets, and I said, you know what, I want to offer a night on the town in Austin with limo service, $5 a ticket, each book gets $50. That should at least pay for the registration for a female to come here. And that made me feel great. It did matter to me because if it did have an impact on me, especially in the situation and how I was feeling at that time, I wanted another woman to experience that.
Well, you talked about something that I think more people need to know about, is that it's over a year you've been looking for a job.
Yes.
Okay, and that's a challenge.
It is.
I mean, that in itself is a battle, and the more time that goes by, the harder it gets. Can you talk a little bit about that challenge? What needs to change in your mind to get people back to work, to get more veterans back to work?
Yes.
What are you seeing out there when you're out there looking around?
Well, wow. When there's a lot of competition, there is a lot of competition. And then, I'm from the Fort Hood area, so there's a lot of soldiers out there, sure, out of the military that have the same MOS, which is what I did with the military. So there's a lot of competition. There are a lot of jobs. And I did have a good job once, got laid off, had another great job again, laid off, and both jobs I was actually offering my services and helping soldiers. Actually, I felt like I was saving lives because I was in training development for software for the military, for soldiers who went overseas. But it's the contract world, it's not a stability. So yes, I got this great job and I'm making this kind of money, but guess what? I don't know if 60 months down the road I'm going to have that same job. So There's a lot of competition, number one. The contracts are not that stable. I don't know what's going on, that all this money is going into this project to create this product for our soldiers and for the military. And then 6 months, a year down the road, well, what happened to all that momentum and excitement? Yes, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And then all of a sudden, well, you know what, we don't have the funds to continue this. Well, what happened to all this time and energy and money that we just put into creating the project and putting this product out there? Now someone else is creating something new. I don't know. I really wish I knew what was going on there. I feel that we need to, I guess, give the opportunity to more veterans out there. whether it be females or male, but we do need to give that opportunity. Let me see. It's really hard to explain. I've been unemployed for a whole year, and I can tell you from my experiences, there's a lot of competition. That's number one. I have a great background. I have a degree. I have my military background. I'm very diverse. I am bilingual. I don't know if they see that disabled veteran and say, ooh, I don't know if I want her here, the PTSD or whatever. I'm thinking it's a good thing to put on my resume, but it might not be for that person who's looking at it on the other side. Another thing is, when you're in the military, you a male, I'm a female, we're the same rank, we're doing the same job, we're getting paid the same thing. We're getting paid that same amount of money. In corporate world, that's not the case. I was underpaid at least $25,000 in one previous job, but it was okay. I enjoyed what I was doing, whatnot. But I had to stand up for myself each promotion, every single time. I had to fight for that. And guess what? I'm a female, and like you said, they're expecting me not to show up and not to speak up. And then when I do speak up and show up, that's a problem. She's a troublemaker,
Right. I think you said something that rings true in a lot of veterans that have what becomes a stigma of a label of PTSD.
Yes.
I'm involved. Very good friends of mine are peer-to-peer mentors out of Fort Hood and other areas for people that you have to talk with somebody who's been through it. Having someone who has a PhD that's never seen a day, hasn't even been slapped in the face, let alone been shot at or shot. It's hard to, get some camaraderie there.
Yes.
Okay. And we do need to drop that stigma. You should be able to say, this is what happened to me, and this is why I'm better for it, and this is why you don't have to be afraid. A lot of bad press is out there. I see it in the industry. I'm in it. The D for disorder. I was pushed very hard over a year ago. We really pushed hard we want that D dropped. It's not a disorder. Battered wives have PTSD, battered children, people are getting horrible car accidents, men, women, children, everybody. It's just in this particular case because the military is part of the government, and the government has to put a label on it because the government has to define how much money they're going to give you and then what they're going to take away from you, so you really don't show up, really. And that's a horrible thing to say, but it's really what happens because I see it happen just from other organizations I'm involved with. Oh, go ahead, Gabe.
Let me just adjust the mic over here for me over here. I wanted to ask a question, if it's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
In this whole piece, if you can, what happens when you get discharged? I mean, do they try to prepare you for life afterward? I'm serious, because the reason why I asked this is because I've talked to individuals that have friends that are in the military. I've worked with individuals that have been in the military, and I've always been curious, is there any type of preparation to say, okay, you are no longer in the military, congratulations, you're now in civilian life. What does the military do for you?
What's the exit strategy?
Well, I mean, they have a transition where you go through, like she was saying, her husband right now is on his terminal leave, and have this whole transition. But if you've been in the military for a certain amount of time, there's a certain lingo that you have to translate from military to civilian lingo. There are some things out there, but it's a generic thing. Women, we go through we have totally different experiences from what men do in the service. So, and our jobs are different, and we might have the same position, but we're exposed to different things. And there are some services out there, but they'll help you put a resume together, that's great. They'll tell you where you can go to apply for a job, that's great. But that's basically it. They'll give you a website, a link, and that's where you go, and we'll help you translate this from military to civilian life, and that's it.
I have an idea, and I'll team up with you. We lift up a label and it says made in America, but now it says made in China a lot.
Yeah.
What if we have labels that say made by a veteran? What if you lift up a shirt and it says made by a veteran? What if you have a car that in the glove compartment, when they've got all the paperwork you get, assembled by a veteran? Goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Money moves things. A rising tide raises all boats. Also exposes some of the holes in the hole, too. So let's make sure we know that, too. But the bottom line is, if we launch something like that, we can do that. It takes business owners to say, you know what, I'm going to have a label now. I'm going to hire veterans, and I'm going to... And if the people spend the money to make sure they look for that label, that drives business, and it puts wealth out there, and we can build more jobs.
You're right. That would be perfect. And there are a lot of organizations out there that focus on hiring veterans and all of that. But, you know, today, it's great to support a veteran, you know, so everybody wants to be a part of that campaign of, like, I support a veteran. But there's a lot of reasons and different reasons that they're doing it. One, you know, they get a certain recognition,
Sure, of course.
a compensation from the state or, you know, the government. But in reality, I mean, what are you really doing for that veteran? You're bringing them in. Are you underpaying them? You know, are you providing certain things that they're going to need? Are you going to be understanding when I have my VA appointments once a month or twice a week, or I have to go do certain things? That's the kind of things that we have to deal with. You know, I have VA appointments every month. And a lot of my sisters here have VA appointments every month. Some of them have twice a week, depending on where you're at and what you're doing. Are you going to have that patience, you know, that I'm not going to be able to be here for 8 hours and I have to go take care of me?
Well, we have to re-educate, or not even re-educate, we must educate corporate America. I see courses for everybody except the corporate America leaders. They need to understand, even small business owners, need to understand what it is to deal with what you're talking about. Because it's not going to go away.
Nope.
Okay? It's here right now, and we have to deal with it. And it's really a complex situation, but really it comes down to what we demand. What we demand, and there's 3 words. Every single veteran fights, number one, legally for the U.S. Constitution of this country. It's what gives us the right to defend it. It's our creed. And what does it say at the beginning? You know, we the people. We must define our future by you coming on and speaking to the multitudes, right? What does it mean, multitudes? It means taking this when it's posted and sharing it. And sharing it. The great thing about today in the media world that we have today is that we used to have to wait for syndicated. Oh, I got to get syndicated. We can be in all these markets. Hey, guess what?
You don't need
There's people in Israel that will be watching this. I have people that have been watching my show, watching it, because I had cameras in my studio for years now. It kind of destroyed the whole Face for Radio thing, by the way, just so you know. But the reality is that we can change by that fabric, that thread, that web. The reason they call it the web is because it's really capturing something. It's usually capturing us. And Google has spiders that crawl all over it, right? Well, the opposite's true too. We can push out stuff. You have a voice. You're somebody. And when you're here and you're speaking, this does not have to happen in a vacuum.
Definitely.
If just 10% of all the women in this country shared it, if 5% did, it would change the pulse of our society. Knowing the facts, knowing the truth. Garbage in, garbage out.
Definitely.
And for us, and for you, and for everyone in this room, our job is to make sure what you're going through and what you're saying doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's up to us when we're done with it, and Gabe does a great job over there, making sure that it's recorded correctly, so when we upload it, it's there for everybody to see. But then from there, it could be shared everywhere. And they hear about F7, and they hear about all the other positive things we've talked about. And they hear about you. Because you are what defines, just like me, we. Because when it's you and it's me, it's we. If it's just me, it's I. And it's not I the people. It's we the people. So one of the things that, one of my goals, and what we're doing with Be First in Media, and why we're doing it, is to be able to do things like this, get it on a frequency that everyone can share, and then everyone can talk about it, everyone can post. So that's what I believe is one of the best ways to do it. So people hear you, they see you, they can't touch you like I did, but that they can get pretty darn close. So that's my personal opinion, how we're going to change, is by pushing on society in a positive way, but push on fixing these issues.
I believe it. I truly believe in that, and creating that awareness.
Yes.
Creating that awareness. I mean, I'm on Facebook, and I try to create that awareness constantly because I myself am guilty of that too. I mean, I'm an advocate for female veterans. Homelessness. It's veteran and homelessness just should not be on the same sentence. The programs out there are not. I guess they're not accessible to a certain group of female veterans or male veterans at that. So my thing is, yes, we need to create awareness. Women are veterans also. I mean, we go out there, we come back home, and we have to take care of our kids and the household, and some of them are single. And what is out there? So is there a job out there for me, you know? And we have to create that awareness. That is my biggest pet peeve, is everyone I can speak to, I let them know what I'm doing. Anyone that wants to listen, even if they don't want to listen, and I'm just talking and they're there, I'm going to talk. But I just try to let everyone know. I mean, do you know what the percentage is of homelessness, female veterans in our community? I live in Killeen. Killeen is a small community, and it's right next door to Fort Hood.
That's right.
How is that there is no services for myself and my sisters in my own community? Right there next to Fort Hood. But the thing is, once you're out, you're out. So now, what are we going to do about it? And I want to be that person who is spreading the word, who is talking to someone who's going to talk to someone else, who's going to talk to someone else. Definitely.
Absolutely correct. Because if you want to have power, the most powerful thing we can do is not to look to the government to help us.
Definitely.
Look to ourselves to help us. That puts the power back in our corner. The pendulum swings in our favor. And then guess what we're going to do with that pendulum when it gets over to us? We're going to grab it. And we're going to hold it, and we're never going to let it go back there again.
That's
ever.
Right. That's right.
So, would you like to go to a spa?
Yeah.
Make sure that I get your information, because
Yes.
I want to make sure that you go to the Novitas Spa just like the other ladies.
Thank you.
Okay?
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
I got to give you a hug.
Yes, please.